Good afternoon to you all. We're going to start the program shortly, so please take a seat. Namaste and good afternoon to everyone present here today. I, Abhinav Thapa, on behalf of the Launchpad team, feel extremely privileged to extend our warm welcome to all our respected dignitaries, guests, and students. Launchpad is a platform for the youths of our country. The main aim of Launchpad is to empower youths to explore various opportunities, gain numerous information about job opportunities, and most of all, boost their confidence in the job market. Launchpad plans to bridge the gap between job seekers and employers. This event is organized by People First, and the main individual behind this is Ms. Icha Malla, who established Launchpad to empower youths, especially those who are seeking a good career-building job opportunity. Altogether, Launchpad's aim is to reduce human capital flight, also known as brain drain. Without taking any further delay, let's begin our panel discussion on the topic, the future of work in Nepal. Let me take this honor on welcoming our today's panelists. Firstly, we have Mr. Karan Vaidya, the Vice President of Vaidya Group. Next, we have Mr. Soam Dakal, CEO of Vianet. Next, Ms. Icha Malla, founder of People First. And once again, we have Ms. Nirmal Dugal, who is the country head of Amidas IT Group, as our moderator. Welcome on board to all the panelists. So now let me notify everyone that this event will be broadcasted live on Kathmandu Television. This will help us to deliver this purposeful event not just within these four walls, but all over Nepal. Now I'd like to hand over this mic to our moderator and begin our panel discussion. Thank you.
So good afternoon, everyone. Once again, I'm here. So thank you so very much again, Icha Malla, People First. And I'm so much delighted. I feel privileged and honored to be a part of the discussion which I'll be doing with the panelists. So thank you so very much, Mr. Karan Vaidya, Mr. Soham Dhakal, and Icha Malla. Not taking much time again, let's start the discussion. So because you all know that this Launchpad, which Icha is actually, it's Icha's baby, which is just 2 years old now. She's taken it forward. And we are talking about the leaders who are here, the eminent, dignitaries who are here in front of me. So as we say that when you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. But when you become a leader, success is all about growing others, right? That's there. So I would like to have the first question maybe to Mr. Karan Vaidya. What do you do differently that led you to be in this leadership position and not others? Something different which you have done and where you have reached today. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Yeah, that's good. I think rather than talking about this current position, because I'm doing my own business here, I would like to talk more about maybe a time frame where you are right now, and which will be resonate more to your story. So while I was doing my MBA at MIT, I went to London Business School, and there we had a competition for this telco company, and my team won, and they took us to Canada to work on a project together. So within a span of 6 months, they promoted me to become the vice president of the business development in Asia in Singapore. So that was quite a quick rise for me. And looking in retrospective, I think what I did differently to reach that position, like a position of a vice president as from an MBA graduate, was two things. Firstly, I think was initiation, self-initiation. And secondly was people skills or team management. So what I mean by initiation is that, you all are probably coming from colleges where, the teacher's telling you this thing and, they know everything and you're learning everything from them. But slowly when you go towards the world, you realize that not a lot of people know everything about everything. So everyone is taking their own initiation and trying to do their own things, taking risks. So that proactive initiation is very important to reach leadership quickly. And secondly, people skills. I mean, it's in the company's name, It's very important. It's not about just crunching numbers. You might be the best mathematician, or you might be the best, in accounting. But if you don't know how to handle people and teams, it's very difficult to be a leader. Like, our moderator rightly said, it's about growing people. And if you can show that to the top management, to your leaders, that's how you'll rise quickly. So 2 things, initiation and people management. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the insight. Now, I would like to go to Mr. Dhakal. What do you have to say about this?
Obviously, it was my good words, right? That was a joke. So actually, for me, I think, adding to what he said, for you, and even if you're looking for a job, I think 3 things are very important. First, humility, right? That shows you who you are. The second is curiosity. So regardless of what field you are in, you can always be curious and even change fields, right? The third is humor, of course, because that establishes a connection. Because at the end of the day, it's about making that connection with people, right? So humor can help you do that. So for me, I think, I've worked in various fields. I started as a software engineer in US, then I made films, then I went to building construction, and now, after Cloud Factory, I'm at Vianet. So it has been a different, varied industries that I've worked in. The common theme in all 3 were curiosity, humility, and also humor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, Icha, the youngest leader which we have here.
Hello. Hi. So basically, you guys might be surprised that I'm over here. I'm replacing Nakeem Dai. He was not able to come here because of his health issues. So yeah, thanks for having me here to give my 2 cents on this question. A lovely question that I'd like to answer would be, in terms of leadership, right? There are 2 things that as a leader one should have. I wouldn't call myself a leader yet. I'm yet there to be the leader. So right now I'm a work in progress towards being a leader. So I think 2 things are very important. One is self-awareness. Self-awareness is very important because you need to know what kind of person you are before you lead the team. Because knowing yourself is so much important before you start working with others and leading others. So first thing I would say is self-awareness, and second thing is EQ. This terminology is like just emerging like crazy. Like these 5 years you hear a lot about EQ. And why I mentioned this EQ is emotional intelligence is you should be, as a leader, you should be able to control your emotions. It's not always about like, in certain time you might just take a decision, like really quick decision. That might not work in your organization, not just organization. It might not just work with certain people. So EQ is equally important and your self-awareness is important. And additionally, beside these 2 things, another thing as a leader that's very, very much like if I can be called a leader, why am I here today? I would say it's because of my people skill. As Karan said it, people skill is so important, and my company's name is People First as well. Why that is so important is you work with people, right? So it's very important for you to understand yourself and understand them. Because the way I would work with one of my team might not be same the way I would work with another team. Why? Because those are 2 different people. So you need to understand them and work them and motivate them in their way, not in your way. So I would say if I'm here today, it's because of 3 things. One is self-awareness. The other is the EQ, the emotional intelligence, where I'm controlling my emotions and working. And the third thing would be understanding the people and working for them and motivating them in their way, not in my way. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Yeah, just to add on to it, yes, I feel that a leader has to have people's person quality. You have to be a people's person, so you can, you have to earn that leadership, not just ask for it. So going back to now again the second question which we have, as you all know that on June 15th we are going to have an expo, the job expo, which again People's First is going to organize. Just wanted to ask you one thing. Do you think this job expo which is happening on June 15th, which is organized by People's First, it is going to help reduce human capital fights, maybe, the immigration? Do you think so? Will that be useful?
I think that's a tough question because I don't know much about the Job Expo, but
So
what can we do?
Can I just give you just a
Sure.
simple this thing? So this job expo is basically, we are going to have it on June 15th, and where a lot of organizations are going to come here as well as the students. So the students will get a chance to interact with the organizations directly. They will be able to actually explore in case there are any possibility of internship or maybe jobs later on. And it will be very good platform so that they can have a one-on-one interaction with the HR heads, because usually the HR heads and the department heads will be there, so that they get a clear idea. Right now these students are in the stage where they are doing MBA, or few of them have actually completed their BBA, and they're in that path where they're looking for a good career. Rather than moving moving abroad, in case they get a discussion here, they come to know that a lot of companies are there. As we had a discussion in the first panel also, a lot of people were not even aware that so many companies, the multinational companies are here in Nepal. They just know only the ones which, they keep on listening from other people and all. But this will be a very good platform where all these organizations will be there, and the students will get a chance to interact, so that they can think of maybe pursuing the career in Nepal only, rather than maybe going out. Or even if they are going abroad, they would like to come back, so that they can just contribute to the country. That's the main aim is all about. And it's all about nothing, nobody has to come and pay anything. They can just have a direct interaction with the concerned persons in the organization. Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, the whole idea of a job expo, I think, is very timely and needed. Just like with so many companies, the students don't know about them. The companies also don't know about the labor force. There's not a great platform to interact. You put your ad in online posts, get some CVs, and you try to just go through those and try to hire people. So I think it's a very important thing, something like a job expo. As far as going abroad, I think that's probably up to the individuals, but I think they will be looking at opportunities. So why would you look for opportunities abroad? Because you want to learn. This is the time for you to invest in yourself. It's not just about the money at this point. It's about what you can do after the few years that you've invested in a workplace, right? So if the companies can provide you that, if they can provide you a good pay, good perspectives, and opportunities for growth, I'm sure people would be more attracted to staying here versus going abroad. However, the charm of abroad is there, right? So I would also encourage people to take those opportunities, learn, and then also, you can come back and you be the providers of jobs for other students, right?
Yeah, that's actually true. So you can actually go and earn, because once you're going abroad, you'll get so much of exposure also. You can go there, study, and then come back, maybe work for a few years, and then come back, and then again apply all this once you come back here to your own country. That will be definitely a very good contribution to the country. So what's your say?
Because I partook in this, the Launchpad last year, so I know about it a bit more. And I think I'll put it in two perspectives. One is your perspective, like the listeners, and one is more macro, what the question is. So I think in a more micro perspective, individual perspective, you need to understand that me, if I'm hiring someone, generally the traditional approach is looking for CVs, maybe LinkedIn now, comes to us. So you're essentially a piece of paper to the HR person. So expo like this is very good because even if that piece of paper is, you know, you don't have the best grades or the best, you know, skills in there, you can go in there, you can talk to the recruiter and actually be like, this is me, and this is why I'm gonna be good. And your body language, you know, a people one-on-one interaction is much greater than just reading a piece of paper. So that's very important. That's your perspective. But more in a macro scale in terms of the brain drain, etc. from Nepal, I mean, that's a huge topic. You know, it's a big issue with Nepal and a lot of other countries. But I'll try to keep it more narrowed down to this expo. So I've lived abroad for a long time. So I studied abroad for a long time. And these job expos are essential during MBAs. A lot of colleges, a lot of schools, they actually do these job expos recurrently. You know, it's not enough of these things happening in Nepal right now. So I'm very glad that, you know, it has actually taken that initiative. She's growing exponentially with this, and I'm very happy that someone is actually becoming a role model for these kind of expos, because what it essentially is doing is it's bridging the gap between employers and you and the students as well, because the employers need to see the person. I would always prefer, you know, it's essentially doing multiple interviews in one go, right? So for the employer, it's really good. It's less time consuming. And for you, it's really good because you get an opportunity to see who the employer actually is. So definitely, it would help the brain drain, but we need many more of these. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Karan. And Icha, because it's your forum, so please give at least some more light on that. What exactly got you to go for Launchpad, and some details about it?
Yeah, sure. So talking about Launchpad, I already said it earlier as well, right? Why I started it basically was started with the motive of during pandemic. People were looking for jobs and all that, but now the whole objective has changed, and now it's more towards decreasing. At least it doesn't have to be if in 100%, even if I'll be able to make that 1% change, that'll be a change. At least I'm contributing towards it. So the main reason I would encourage I've been promoting this job expo like crazily, giving my wholeheartedly, is when I was in the United States, summers I would come home. During that summertime when I was looking for internship, I didn't want to just work for my dad's company. Why? Because I wouldn't learn a lot from there. Right? Because I'm already staying in home with him, so there was not much to learn. Maybe from other people in the company I would get a chance to learn. However, in Nepal, whenever you're working in your family business, they always see you as the daughter. They really don't see you as one of the staff who's coming and trying to bring some changes or is there to learn. So what happened in my case was I was asked to sit down in the office table. Instead of me being a freshman year student, I'm supposed to start from the bottom, right? So I was not supposed to be sent to that seat. And at that time, I was looking for maybe there are other companies, I couldn't see any. So I had to cut down my summertime in Nepal because I needed to do internship. I did my internship in Microsoft. However, if at that time, if I knew there were a company like Encel, there were a company like, Dabur. There were a company like Leapfrog, Cloud Factory. So many companies out there from where I could go there and learn the corporate culture. I didn't have to stay in the United States. I could have learned here, right? Although that did benefit me. So yeah, getting that exposure, because I highly recommend whenever you're being an entrepreneur, you don't need to start a business. First, you really need to know the corporate. You really need to work under someone so you understand. You see from employee point of view. So when you're starting your own company, when you're being that leader, you know what kind of challenges one faces. So I feel these kind of job expo would help you guys to understand about, there are so many companies, not just banking companies, there are a variety of companies out there where the salary is also really good. Because we always say in abroad we get such a good salary. No, there are companies in in Nepal itself. There's a list of companies as well who are coming who's starting salaries from 80,000. And when I say 80,000 for even high school graduates. And there are salaries, companies are paying 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, right? So, we can always say that, oh, there's no money in the country. There is. And even there's organization which none of us students who went to private school would think of approaching, that's government of Nepal. There's a huge opportunity in government of Nepal as well. And when you think about salary, they even pay well as well. So just to get that exposure, I feel this job expo was important. And yeah, that's why we're here. I think I'm done talking.
Thank you. So don't lose the opportunity, and please be there on June 15th so that all can actually interact and you will get more details about the organizations. And as Richa rightly said, that yes, in case you want to start, maybe in case you want to become an entrepreneur also, if you have a family business also, at times I feel that if it's better to work under someone, right? So that you will get the feel of, like how you have to go ahead. You'll get more connected to your employees once you join your family business. So it's always better to, for learning purpose, try and work under someone so that you will get more exposure and you will get a different insight also about how we work. And then after that, yes, you can always join the family business, or maybe if you want to start something of your own, that will be really helpful. So again, after this, maybe there's another question which I would like to put to all of you. As we saw that during this 2 years of pandemic, a lot of people started, like most of the companies, we were working from home only, right? Work from home. So with this trend changing, do you think that the future is hybrid? And what does you say about it in case, maybe in terms of your own organization where you are, what do you think? Is that the future? And what's to say about it?
I'll start. Yeah, I think the trend had been towards some kind of different work, and COVID actually helped it push it over. So hybrid is one word that we use. But I would like to go even beyond that. I think the work of future is going to be dictated by the people who are working. So even now, if you look at some of these online platforms like Amazon Mechanical Turk, where you can actually decide what you want to work on and you get paid on the task. So even as students or even people going to the job market now, you don't need to look at traditional companies. I know a lot of people right now who are employed from companies outside of Nepal, but they're comfortably working from here. So I think what COVID did was it actually enabled remote work, and it enabled companies to figure out how to make that actually work for the companies. Before, there was always a hesitancy that, oh, if people work from home, they're not going to be as productive. We have to have this massive office, right? But that changed. So that added multiple benefits. So yes, I think the future is going to change. It's not going to work at hybrid work. It's going to work at working in your time, right? So not just on company's time, but you being the worker, you are going to be more important as we go forward. Technology enables that. The mindset enables that. And hopefully in a few years, a lot of you will be working for companies outside of Nepal, but from Nepal. So we preserve the brain drain, you actually learn more, but you get paid also in dollars, right? So.
Thank you.
Just to add to that, thanks to Vianet actually for making the hybrid model work so well, right? Because I was using Vianet last year. So anyway, just to give that continuity, what I feel is, yeah, the future of work is definitely going to change. And the panel discussion topic is also about future of work. Why is, I feel in Nepal, like we're a country that actually doesn't, I'm not saying we don't innovate, but usually we follow the working culture of the Western world. And right now, what is happening in the United States is a lot of companies, when they ask their their employees to come back to the organization and work, a lot of them decided to quit. Okay? Because a lot of people thought that normal is going to be new normal. Unfortunately, there's nothing called new normal. We're back again in a normal scenario. So a lot of people thought, no, this should be a hybrid model. So they're actually opting for it. However, organization was trying to go how it was 2 years ago. But that model is really not working for a lot of the organizations. So what I would say is the future of work is definitely has changed and will change more. In terms of hybrid model, a lot of organization has been accepting that model in United States and other part of the world, and even in Nepal that I can already see since being part of HR, a lot of the organization has started adopting that model. So, and another thing is when we talk about hybrid model, work from home and one another is like, you know, you come to office and work, the two modality. There's going to be another way as well, which one of the organization in United States is following. One of my friends, she's working there, and she said there's unlimited vacation. And I was like, how does that work, unlimited vacation? As long as you finish your work. So that's how it's going, like as long as you finish your work, you can have unlimited vacation. So that really motivates an individual to work more and finish their task. And now we see future of work is changing. Before we used to work from Sunday through Friday. Now most of the public companies is working Monday through Friday. And there are a lot of organizations who thinks that, like, you know, the working week should be less to increase the productivity. That's what Amazon is doing it, right? So the future of work is not going to be how it was. It is definitely changing. So you guys should accept a lot of changes. It won't be like how it was 10 to 5 or 48 hours a week. So thanks.
Right. Just to straightforward answer the question, I mean, the future of work is definitely hybrid. Like you rightly said, you know, COVID really catalyzed blurring the lines between reality and actually coming to work. So it definitely got accelerated to where we are today. But we are coming back to the normal, and coming back to normal has been very difficult for like Google, Amazon, Microsoft. They're actually paying people to come back right now because they're having such a tough time to get people out of that mindset. But having said that, I mean, you all are young, you understand like the technology is moving really quickly. We're into the metaverse now where people can actually replicate themselves as, you know, artificial intelligence and, you know, replicas of yourself, and you can actually do meetings there. So we are definitely in that trajectory. But having said that, because I work here in Nepal and I've seen working with business houses here, I think not you, but more the businesses, the companies need to catch up in this regard. Because here there's still that mindset that, you know, okay, you know, now it's Monday to Friday, but you know, you have to stay those hours precisely, 10 to 6, you know, if you're not seen in the office, that means you're not working, you know. And a lot of people have that mindset, and that needs to change. Because now it's more about, you know, how you're performing. Like you said, if you have reached your targets, your goals, then you can have unlimited vacations. Because the output is the same, right? Even maybe quicker. But to do that, the companies themselves need to be able to give you those targets and guide you. So that catching up will take some time, I believe. But we are definitely moving there to the more hybrid future as a collective. But Nepal is slightly behind in that regard. But personally, in terms of, you know, teamwork and doing projects, I still feel there's a charm and there's some cohesiveness to actually doing in-person meetings and sitting with a group of team rather than, because I've done a million Zoom calls in the past 2 years and it just does not feel the same. So there's a beauty of actually human-to-human interaction which we should not take for granted. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Karan. And I do agree with you because, you know, for certain, like as I think in the earlier discussion when I said that you want to have that feel of, you know, being together, because when we were doing Zoom meetings, we had so many, in my company when I'm talking about Amadeus, because we are the group distribution system. So we are the GDS, we are the system provider to the airlines and to the travel agencies. There are certain data which, it's like such a, you know, crucial data which we were not able to actually extract the data with the Wi-Fi on. We are supposed to have the LAN cable because there are very, very crucial data which we cannot actually depend on every employee. So there I could feel that when we were working from home, certain restrictions were there. We were not able to provide the proper data. We were dependent on our head office to send us the data. Then again, you know, transfer the data in our system, make the files and all. So that was one part. And as second part again, because once we were back, we were feeling so happy, after once the first day when we started working after work from home, it was like, oh my God, as if, we were missing each other. So we literally hugged each other, and so that is also one thing which we are missing. So maybe a combination of hybrid and a physical, organization coming to the office, that will be a very nice combination. Maybe not only depending on hybrid, but at the same time, yes. So maybe as you are saying that 5 days a week, that is also again, maybe the organizations or maybe the employees are not able to understand. They're saying that there's a timeline and you have to just work from 9 to 6 or 9:30 to 5:30. It's not about that. We have to finish off our work, and after that, yes, the flexibility will definitely be there. So if the organizations understand that part, because when we were discussing about Encel and Dabur Nepal, remember, they were saying that they have so many of flexibility, plus they have a lot of activities which they want to do for the employees, so that the employees, get charged up. They feel so happy to come back. Like, they've got a gym. I know that they've got a gym inside. They've got a small, cafe sort of thing. They are going to have all those video games where you just go play and come back, get yourself recharged, and then come back to work. These things will not be able to do hybrid, right? So yes, there are changes which are coming, and slowly we'll maybe adapt it, but a combination of both would be a better way. That's what I feel. So now again, coming to next one, because you all are the leaders, right? You have come a long way and attained that positions where you all are. Any mistake which you think that you have done during your journey, maybe regarding your career, or maybe chosen something different, which you want to share it with all the students, saying that they should not make the same mistake, in case you have done any mistake during your maybe choice of career or something. So please.
Yeah, I think if I were to talk about my mistakes, we'd be here till tomorrow morning. I think one of the mistakes I did early on was thinking that I would just stick with one company, having a career, being comfortable in the status quo, not taking some risks. And especially nowadays with the young people that I see, so energetic, in touch with different technology, ideas, all of that. I think taking risks is something that you should do. Having said that, after that, I started taking too many risks. So you shouldn't go to the other spectrum also. So just somewhere in the middle, So yeah, not taking enough risks and taking too much risk. Those were the mistakes.
Just adding to that, because I think most of you are in your 20s right now, and taking risks is quite important, and that's one thing I feel like I was also very conservative in doing that. So now I realize that, 20s, maybe even your 30s is the time to make mistakes, fail, but learn from your failures, fail forward, take opportunities. Because if you don't, get out of that comfort zone and you just do what you're comfortable with, you won't grow as quickly as you can by just taking a leap. It's easier said than done to fail forward, because that it's a mental strength that you need to be okay with failing, But I'm telling you this today, just think about it, let it soak in. I would say take as many risks as you can, especially in your 20s, because you have that opportunity. Just go out there, do your thing. For example, just an analogy that I thought about of someone taking risks is a very well-known deceased entrepreneur, Steve Jobs, who was basically at Reed's College, and he talks about this during his Stanford commencement speech. So what he did was, because he was so bored with his regular classes, he went and he audited a random calligraphy class, which was completely out of his comfort zone, and it was just a risk, he was using his time there. But because he took that step, that calligraphy class, all the font that we see in our papers, from Word to Max, is because of that little risk that he took back then. So, anything can come up, This is the time to fail. As you grow older, it'll be more difficult to fail. So I would just say go out there and try failing, but fail forward. Thank you.
I'm 10 out of 10. I didn't make any mistakes. Just kidding. Okay, talking about mistakes in life, right? Something that you would be able to relate, because I made that mistake when I was your age group. So what I exactly did was I tried to get into the leadership position very young. Instead of actually learning things and getting there, right? I started a company on my own. Instead of actually, that was the time I should have worked for someone else. I could have known the Nepali market more better when I came with people first. So yeah, I would say the mistake that I made was trying to be the leader very early and trying to start my own company instead of working for other companies and, you know, getting exposure. Like I would have loved to work under leaders like Yuraji was there, right? Diwashi was there. So when I was hearing them, their story, their organizational story and everything, what I felt was I wish I would have worked for these organizations that was there for longer, like for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and grab those, like, you know, put my way up to the corporate ladder and then started what I started in 2015. So yeah, that was the mistake that I made, and that was done in my early 20s. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so even if at times we fail, we don't have to. I'm not saying that deliberately failing and all, but yes, fail is first attempt in learning, right? So in case we fail, we learn from our failures also. And this is a time when you all are very young. You can actually try, and maybe you'll take few years also to come to know what exactly your field is. Maybe today you see someone who's like, you know, very good in marketing or there, and you'll say, okay, I'm also very good at it. But once you enter, maybe you'll realize that that's not your field. So no problems at all. Take some risk. You can change your, you know, career also. Initially, few years, that's fine. Once you get maybe after 5-10 years, then it becomes difficult. But yes, we realize. So when I was actually, as I discussed earlier also, when I was doing my after my graduation, because I'm talking about that age where we didn't had so much of options actually, and nobody was there to guide us also. I'm talking about long, like I've got 32 years of experience now, working experience. So at that time when I was told by my father that if you want to do, you know, maybe training and like, it was, a teacher's training or something, I did nursery teacher's training at that time. But I was not so much interested to teach. But later on, when I was growing and I was like, you know, having all those positions, especially when I came to Nepal, I got opportunity to be a part of KCM and then NCM College, SAN College, and then LBF. And I found that it was so different. I was so much into education, interacting with young people. I feel so happy. And I was discussing with you, HR, right? So the day I have my sessions in KCM, you know, in the morning, I feel so energetic. When I go back to office, I'm like full of energy. Why? Because I think that's me. I feel now that, yeah, that was my field. But maybe in case I would have taken it few years back, I wouldn't have given what I'm able to give today. And I feel very happy. So yes, at times maybe you know, slowly you learn, and then you think that I have to change my field. So right, this is time when you all can explore and then go later on, right? So again, coming back to the questions, there's one question actually, because these students who are going to now maybe doing their interns and all, would you like to suggest something what all they should be prepared to before maybe going for an intern or any job? Some tips which you would like to give it to them so that they are like, you know, prepared, that what sort of internship and what they are supposed to do before applying, going for an intern or maybe for a regular job.
I think if you're going for internship, find out what kind of internship it is. A lot of companies I've seen, they have internships, but nobody is actually guiding those interns. So you just end up joining the company and just going through the process and not actually learning. So you can ask those hard questions, as in, what will I learn? What are some of the areas that I'll be focusing on? So you have a pretty good idea of what you need to get out of that internship. Similarly with job also, you should be able to ask questions about the job. What is it that I'm going to learn? What is my career path? What are some of the next steps that I can take? So not only does that show where you want to go. It also gives the impression that you have an idea of what you expect out of the job. So I think it's very important that just don't go to a company just because of the name and say, oh, I'm an intern here. See what you will actually be able to learn. So in that case, maybe some of these smaller companies might be the better option, because you'll get to work closely with teams. You'll get to work with the founders. And there's a term that's being used. It's called DNA transfer, right? So that is what you would actually be looking for. Some of the large companies might not be able to cater to you as like a small company would. So that would be my advice.
Okay, Neera ma'am, can you repeat that question a little once?
So most of the students now will be going either for the interns, or maybe in case they don't want to, go for MBA or something, they want to go for a regular job. So what all the preparations maybe they have to make, as Mr. Dakal said, that like they should know about the company, where the interest also, because just by saying that Encel is a very good company, if they go, you never know that you might get lost there because you don't know what exactly you want to do. So any preparation you think that they should make before they go for intern, or maybe for when they're seeking a job?
Okay, to answer that question, I would say if you're actually applying for a job or for an internship opportunity, why do you do that? Like, let's talk about internship. The reason of internship is you're trying to see whether you'll be the right fit for that culture, or whether that company would be a right fit for your needs and requirements or not, right? So that's why you would go for as an intern. So going as an intern, the first thing that you should do is not just you need to do an internship and there's a company, so I got it, I'm gonna do it, or just because your uncle or whosoever is there, so I'm gonna do that internship. No, first thing you need to see is what in that internship, what are the things what are the requirements, what are the things that you actually need to do being part of that organization. You have to see that, whether that'll be a fit for you or not. And now, if you think, okay, these are the things I really want to get exposed to, now your side of preparation is very important. Because remember, in Nepal, if there is a very good internship, for example, Encel has a traineeship program, which I was doing the recruitment for them, for the Encel traineeship program. For 20 position, within 6 days, there was 1,500 applicants applying. And that's a huge number. I think Karan knows it, and even ma'am and Sohamji knows it as well, because Nepalma, whenever itro application आउँदाखेरि त्यति धेरै applicants आउँदै आउँदैन हैन. It's so hard to bring in applicants. मेरो जबमा राख्नुपर्छ, कुमारी जबमा राख्नुपर्छ, न्युजपेपरमा राख्नुपर्छ. We didn't do anything like that, and they came. Why? Because of the quality of traineeship they're providing. Now, you all, how should you prepare to get to position? You need to actually work on your resume. You can't just be depending upon मेरो जबको resume or the resume that you made in school and just apply as an intern or anything. You need to do your preparation. You have to study and make your resume according to what the organization is looking for. As Yurajji said, such a beautiful thing, that if you're applying to Encel and if you don't put your Encel number, how would I know that you have drive to be part of my company, right? Encel ma mero kaam गर्ने dream छ, that's why I want to be an intern, but यस्तो गफ चाहिँ you're giving, तर your number is NTC. So that was such a nice thing that he said. And त्यस्तो कुरामा you have to look into minor details, your resume. Not just that, how you're going to appear for interview. You need to practice that as well. You can't just be like, oh my God, I'm such a good speaker, I'm going to be there. It's not about being a good speaker, remember that. It's about building a rapport with the interviewee, the company that you want to work for. So if you're just planning to do internship in whatsoever company, you'll get it easily. There are the company who can provide you value, a good working, ethics, not just work ethics, where you can learn a lot as an intern or as a first-time employee. Those are the companies where it will be very competitive for you to get in. So what you need to do in terms of preparation is work on your resume, not just work on your resume, work on you as a person as well. Doesn't mean to know how to answer the questions. Being able to even question them, being even able to stand out, because there's going to be 1,500 applicants. How are you going to stand out? When I did recruitment for Encel, the way people how they stood out, although it was virtual meeting, was them asking me question. Why should I be the trainee for that organization, right? So these are the things that can make you stand out. So try to stand out and don't just use the same resume for 5 companies that you're applying to. Different companies' resume or the requirements would be different, so tailor it accordingly, and you yourself should tailor yourself according to the company. If you go to Vianet, the way you dress up or the way you'll answer the question should not be same as in People First or in Voidea Group, because there are 3 different people and leading the company. And who's going to interview is going to be different. So prepare yourself more and try to build that rapport with each and every interviewer. And how you do that is with your people skill. Thanks.
So adding to what both the other speakers talked about, I think a personal story that I can explain to you is that because I chose to, not an intern, but it was a first job after MBA, I chose to go to a startup, telecommunication startup. I think I had to do a lot more than if I had chosen Google or Amazon, because there would be a cookie cutter internship model there. And I feel like because I got like, I had to touch a lot of departments, I learned much more. So it's sometimes smaller companies, if it aligns with what you are trying to achieve, does work. In terms of my advice to that direct question, it would be slightly different. So I want you to think of a person. Try to find or research a person that is where you want to be in, let's say, 5 to 10 years. Because essentially, internship is basically just that, platform for you to initially learn or get into that job. So if you can find that person, it's not easy, but go in depth, introspect with yourself, try to find a person that is there 5, 7, 10 years down the line. And if you can just go up to them, try to cold call them, email them, and be like, I want to intern for you, I want to be where you are in this much amount of time. Can I job shadow you? Can I intern for you? And you'll be surprised that not a lot of people will say no to that, because they want to teach how they have reached there. And just understanding how that person not even does his job, but does his day-to-day life, his time management, his planning, his people management, I think you can learn a lot from that than just like, a cookie cutter internship somewhere. So try to find that mentor and try to take that path. Secondly, I would say more in terms of a company, it's a little difficult in Nepal, but you have to really understand who you are and where you're applying to, because if you can align what a company is in terms of ethics, morality, or let's say their goal is sustainability, it can be a lot of things. Or power, it can be, it doesn't always need to be all positive things. If your ethics, your character aligns with the company's thing, I think it'll be much easier for you to transcend in their platform and in their ranks. So try to, before you jump into an internship, the first internship you get, because this is literally your foundation. This lot of internship turns into jobs and turns into their life. So take it seriously. So 1, try to find a mentor who you would like to be in the next 10 years. 2, try to see a company that aligns with who you actually are and your character. Thank you.
Can I add something to that? During my career, I have interviewed a lot of people. There's only one story that I remember still, and this happened way back when, 2005. I was in Bangalore interviewing for the engineering team we were establishing in Bangalore for this American company. So I would ask everyone, so what is the one project that you are really proud of? Everyone would say, my last semester project in school, right? And this one guy said, at my sister's wedding, I had to manage the whole thing. I was so amazed, This guy actually understood the question. So the first thing for you, whenever you interview for any position, is understand the question. We're so quick to respond because we have packaged answers, right? So we'll say, in my last project in college, I did this. No, what I wanted to know was, can this guy manage the project? Now this guy is in a pretty high position in a big company that just got bought by Oracle, right? So that kind of understanding of what is the interviewer asking me, what is it that they are asking, it's very important. So don't just answer the cookie cutter responses. Think and then answer, and you will definitely get the internship or the job of your choice.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. So, the last question which I would like to ask all of you now. What do you think about the quote? There's a quote which says, you don't hire for skills, you actually hire for attitude, right? You can always teach skills. So what do you have to say about this quote? So I'll just repeat it again. You don't hire for skills, you hire for attitude. You can always teach skills.
Okay, I got so excited because I so truly believe in that quote. Yeah, I truly believe that we usually, I think as an organization, it's not the skill that you hire attitude. Skill is something that you always can teach them, train them. But attitude, it's very hard to change because it's deep down in our subconscious mind, right? Like the attitude of a person, if he or she is very negative or very arrogant, right? It's very hard to change if they have this attitude of not taking criticism really positively. It's very hard to change that, but skills are the thing that you can just teach them on the job training. Maybe like you could teach them or train them over it. So I would say, yeah, when it comes to hiring, I usually hire for attitude. Whenever I am working with someone, any team, or even in any project, it's always the attitude of the person. If that person doesn't have that skills, I can train them. I can tell them how you work, and not just only in terms of my organization. It's even at house. Like whenever they're helper and all coming into the house, right? I don't see whether she or he knows how to cook good food or not. What I try to see is that this person has good attitude or not, because he or she is going to come into the house and be there 10 to 5. So that positive energy, that aura and all is so much important. So yes. And honestly, right now, it's my project as well, because I'm working as a consultant for a lot of organization and as a trainer. And what I tell, and as an HR consultant, what I tell a lot of my clients is, please skill लाई नहेर्नुहोस्, यो स्किलबाट तपाईँले सिकाउन सक्नुहुन्छ उहाँहरूलाई हैन, तर यो एटिट्युड तपाईँले ट्रेनिङ तिर्दा पनि चेन्ज गर्न एकदमै नै गाह्रो हुन्छ. So yeah, and I think this is something a lot of organization has accepted this. That's why People First is here for 7 years, because we are an organization, and now even with an HR recruitment that I'm doing for organization, I look for attitude of a person. I don't look for their skills, because again, I'm repeating myself, skill is something that you can teach them on the job, and it'll take a time of 1 week. But to change that attitude, it's gonna take an organization more than a year. So yeah.
So even for my own personal company, I think it's really important. You know, I agree with the quotation, because organizational culture, you know, who you are is very important for a company. But then again, Nepal is still learning this. You know, few companies are actually trying to create that culture where attitude trumps over skills. But then again, I think of an example where I think that's where the origination of the quote also comes from, is Southwest Airlines. It's a aviation company from the US, and they had a very eccentric founder, Herb Keller, and he was a very jolly, fun guy, you know. And one thing he told all of his you know, HR managers, etc., was that I want only fun people to join, people with fun attitude. I don't care about what they have experience in aviation, etc. You know, hire me a clown, hire me someone, you know, like an entertainer, but I'll teach them the skills, but I just want that attitude. And now I think several years down the line, Southwest Airlines is the most successful aviation company in history, everywhere. And even during COVID, I read it in the news somewhere, they actually didn't have to, you know, let go of anyone or furlough anyone, an airline company during COVID. And that, I think that's a very big deal. So that's like one success story of a company that actually used that quotation and actually made use of it and became one of the most successful companies. But how that trickles down to you would be, first, if you can find a company and understand what they're looking for, what the kind of attitude they're looking for, like not all companies will look for a fun attitude, you know. So if you go to a more stricter company and go with a fun attitude, that might not work. So understand who you are interviewing for. But then again, I believe there's a standard attitude that people would like to see in you when we are hiring you. So for example, just on top of my head, just two things I would think about is if you can portray that you have a passion to grow, for growth, you know, you don't have a boxed mind, I would definitely be intrigued with that attitude. And secondly, I would say if you have the desire to do more than necessary, and that can be reflected not just by a piece of paper, but let's say, I mean, it's good that people's first, the Launchpad, the one-on-one people-to-people interaction is there between employers and you. That's where you can actually show this kind of attitude, because a piece of paper will not tell me your attitude. So that's why I think it's really good what you're doing, and I think employers are also, you know, benefiting from it. So are you. So try to show that attitude as a person as well, and I think you can reach further with that. Thank you.
Add something. I feel I'm promoting my company with currencying it and all that. That's not the whole purpose. Okay, guys.
Coming from a technical background, though I do value skills, I also agree that attitude is also a key ingredient. But I think we also have to step back and look at what attitude means to us, right? It can't just be overconfidence. I will tie it back to the thing that I said initially, curiosity, right? So as an attitude, growth, you know, you should be invested in your growth. You should be curious. And then the rest will follow. So in terms of how you see attitude, it is towards more curiosity, growth, and also aptitude. You need to at least भाँडो त हुनु पर्यो नि, हैन? So you need some aptitude को mix पनि, तर at the same time skills can be taught. अहिले त you can look at so many online learning platforms, you know, different technology to learn any new skill, and you will get on-the-job training. But how can you observe that? Can you take that in? Attitude is what dictates that. So yes, I do agree with that.
Quickly, while our speaker was talking, one thing that clicked to me, that many of you must have seen this movie called Pursuit of Happiness, and where there's a scene with Will Smith. I think he's in jail or something has happened to him. So he's very impoverished and he's having a very tough time. He's struggling. He has a son, you know, and he wants to do an interview. So he goes to this top Wall Street brokerage, and for some reason he doesn't even have a shirt, like just a tank top on, and he has paint on his face, you know. So the HR managers talk to him and say that why should we hire you, you know? So he answers something like, I'm paraphrasing, that he's kind of a person that even if he doesn't know the answer, he'll say that he doesn't know the answer, but he'll go out there, find it, and come back to you. So just have a look at that scene. I'm sure it's on YouTube or somewhere. That's what hiring for attitude would mean, you know, not just skills.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was my best part of the movie as well.
So thank you so much for all the insight which you all have shared. So now I'll just leave it to you all. Any questions, if you have, please, most welcome to ask. Please.
Hello. Yeah. So as you guys said that to do your thing and fall and try again and learn from it, how do you think we as an individual who are just starting or studying, how do we fail in the direction that we want to go? How do we fail forward?
I think that was mine, so I'll answer. Okay, so for example, so you're studying something right now, okay? You probably have a track, maybe influenced by your family, because that's what generally happens. but don't be scared to maybe like, you can do anything. Maybe it's just taking a different subject that's not in your purview. Even if that doesn't work out, you'll fail, but you learn from that you haven't failed. Or maybe if it's doing a small business right now, don't give yourself that excuse that, oh, you're studying, I'll start later. So you can, because we're in such a world that, working, logistics, and the internet has really given a large opportunity to, your generation especially. So failing forward basically means that if you fail with that thing, learn from it, make sure you don't make that mistake again, Because I think it's a quotation somewhere that, failing once or making a mistake once is good, but make it twice, then it's a habit,
Yeah,
right? So try to fail forward. That's what I mean.
Icha, would you like to add, or would you like to anything? Okay. Yeah, and just give you a simple example again, because when we are discussing about fail, so when my daughter, she was actually in grade 12, and I'm from the aviation industry, so when she used to look at mama that I'm working with the airlines, she had this passion, she wanted to become a flight attendant. And a lot of people told her also that, okay, you are fit to be a flight attendant. Fine. I told her, fine, it's perfectly fine. But what you have to do is just do a professional course, so that once you, if at all you don't like it, at least you'll have some professional course so that you can, start your career again. And she said, okay. So she decided to do hotel management. She was in the first year of her hotel management, and she was very happy because obviously, again, that you have to dress up, your uniform and everything. But after 2-3 months, the day she was supposed to go to the housekeeping department, she just calls me up because I was here and she was in Delhi, and she calls up, Mama, I think not the right thing for me. Why? Because she was supposed to go and clean the, like a washroom and everything. I said, your wish. If you want to do, perfectly fine. And then she realized that, this was all because she used to look at people around that, oh, airlines industry looks very, nice from outside. I said, you'll have to do it once you become flight attendant. Nobody will come here. They don't have a separate housekeeping department. So when you're in air, you'll have to do everything. She said, okay. And then she told me, Mama, but I think I wasted 1 year. I said, no, you're not wasted 1 year. At least you've learned something. And then she said, okay, she went into sociology. And she did so well because, one chance I gave it to her. In case I would have stopped her at that time, maybe she wouldn't have understood what exactly it was. And then in Delhi University, she topped her college in sociology. And then she did masters in sociology. And now she's planning to do PhD, right? So at times when you fail, it's not about a failure actually. But once you are trying to attempt something, and if you're not able to do it, you will realize what your interest is, or maybe you will change your interest. So right now you all are in that age where you can actually, take that risk of maybe you don't like. So again, one thing, when I was just talking to my students, I think a few of them are there, they are all from science stream, but now they are doing management. Because science, maybe someone was, again, as you said, that parents said that, no, you have to take science, but then later on they realized, no, that's not their field. And now they are in management. Someone is in finance and someone is actually taking marketing as the majors. So now you realize that your interest is changing. So you can always try and change that one. Thank you. Any other questions, please? Please.
So you guys are all young, and I feel like you guys have achieved a lot for your age. So my question is, how does it feel to be young and successful? Like, is the pressure more? And also in terms of pride, like, do you think sometimes like pride can take over? Like maybe what's normal for 30 years old, it's not normal for you. So are there times when you, step back and think that you should not be associated to some projects or some association because you kind of feel like you're much more than that? So are there times, when pride takes over when you're very young and successful?
Well, I'm not that young. I graduated college from the US in 98. So I may look young, but I'm not young.
I think it's our aura.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the spread. But yeah, I mean, pride is something something I would even change the wording to say things get to your head rather quickly, right? if you achieved certain success at an early age, you think you know best, you know. That's not just a tendency in young people, even in older people, especially in Nepal, when you look at our politics at Auta, you can see that very clearly, right? So yes, the humility that I talked about initially, that I think helps you keep grounded. And with quick success also comes quick failure. So the quicker you fly, the easier it is for you to fall, right? So yeah, I think, I don't know if I understood the whole question, but yeah, pride is something, it's good to have. It kind of gives you a certain amount of energy, but combining that with humility would actually keep you grounded.
I wanted you to go first anyway. To answer your question, I would say I'm not successful yet. There's so much, this is just the starting of my journey. And talking about like what Sohamji said, first, later on I would want to know the secret of what do you use and everything later after this session, so that even in your age I'll look as youthful as you look. So to answer your question, what I would say is, like, you know, even when you're in 30s and you feel you've achieved a lot, something that has kept me very grounded is, I think it's my nature, that I just feel there's so much to achieve. Like right now, what I feel is I haven't achieved much. And even when I started a company's doing really well, because if I don't blow my trumpet, no one's gonna blow it for me, right? So I do blow that trumpet, but I still feel there's so much to achieve. And I think that nature is something that is keeping me go ahead, and I am where I am today. Because, you know, there is this kahawat, not kahawat, exactly भन्छ नि त्यो एकदमै धेरै fruits भएको रुख चाहिँ it's always झुकिरहेको हुन्छ भनेर हैन. I think Fupu said it a long time back, 15 years back. She said that त्यो धेरै भएको फुल चाहिँ एकदमै झुकेको हुन्छ. Then I realized, now I get it. Why are people so humble, so down to earth? Who are the people who are so down to earth is who's achieved a lot. So if you stay grounded, like, you know, if you stay down to earth, you have so much more to achieve. And I just feel that what you just said, that success word, I just feel that yes, I have been successful in certain project, but there's so much more to go. And I think that is what is keeping me going, because I started with a company called Counselage, and then I started my own company alone, People First, and then I'm coming up with project like Lunchpad. Now again, I'm coming up with a project with, like, you know, a software job seeker Nepal bhanera हैन. And why these things I'm able to do is because I feel that I am not yet successful. I think, and I would answer the same question even when I'm in my 60s or 70s, if I'm called in any panel discussion, that I'm not yet successful. Because for me, definition of successful is to keep working hard and trying to have something. There should be a goal ahead of you again and again. Because once I say, oh, I'm successful, then that'll be a stop for me. And I don't think I'm yet ready for that stop today, and even in my 60s or 70s or 80s. Thanks. I hope I answered your question.
I mean, like it just said very correctly, you know, even though fairly young, I never thought of myself as successful yet, you know, because I feel like most people that want to reach far, they never think about it as a destination. It's a journey, you know, and that's very important to have that mindset, because I believe, you know, from my readings, my, you know, experience, humility is so important for, you know, the eventual success, however you define it. And to be humble and to be, you know, to have that humility just to not fly too high to the sun, you know, because you might fall. It's crucial. It's crucial. And we've learned it from so many stories and so many books, you know. And one thing that really reminds me, like pride, it's good that you're already aware that, you know, pride is a factor, because you guys are young, you know, you haven't, maybe I hadn't thought about it when I was doing my MBA or my BBA, but it's good that you are aware that pride is actually something that can pull you down. So just on top of my head, like, you know, one thing that I remember is Steve Jobs' quotation, stay hungry, stay foolish. So no matter where he was reaching, right, no matter the first iPod or the iPhone was amazingly successful, if you keep yourself hungry, so for growth, and foolish that you know nothing, you know. It's only the dumbest person that thinks he knows everything. The smart people never think that they know everything because we don't, like people don't. So it's always good to stay hungry, stay foolish, and be humble, of course.
Add to that, I really liked what Karan just said, right? I think in terms of attitude, which I just feel that if you don't have it, just start having is never feel that you know everything. Learning is something that everyone should have, and it's not the age, it should stop on it. Right? Every time you should learn. And sometimes there is, sometimes you need to learn and then unlearn and relearn things as well. Because in life, sometimes we learn things. Like I learned a lot of things when I was in school, colleges, or in my different work experience as well. तर कहिलेकाहीँ त्यो सिकेको कुरालाई पनि what we need to do is हामीले unlearn गर्नुपर्छ किनभने त्यो कुरा अबको सिचुएसनमा त्यो it might not be, you can implement it, and relearn new ways of doing things. And this is something I even do in my teaching. Like all of you know that I teach at KCM. I've been teaching in KCM for 7 years. The thing that I learned from my KCMite student, what worked for them, I unlearned it after 2-3 years and relearn new ways of teaching them. किनभने त्यो एउटै वे गरे भने हुँदैन अनि hunger for learning should always be there. That's something that will just keep you really go ahead in any game that you're in, whether that's your personal life, professional life, or your social life.
Thank you so much. I think there was someone who was at the back wanted to ask. Yeah, please. I think that can be the last question, Richa. Yeah, please.
So my question is, it's kind of 2 questions. So the first one is, how do you respectfully reject people? Say no that हुन्छ नि म चाहिँ यो गर्न सक्दैन है, because the closer the people are, the more you think that it might hurt them or they might take it negatively. And the second one is, if we work with someone we really know, how do we maintain that personal and professional relation with them?
Can I answer you? Should I go for that? Okay, just to answer your first question is, हाम्रो कल्चरमा चाहिँ फेरि नो भन्ने बानी नै छैन है. That's why, we, not going back to the weight, but we end up gaining weight so much. खाना दिइरा हुन्छ हैन, नाइ भन्नै मिल्दैन, खानै पर्छ एकचोटि खाऊ भनेपछि है. So that culture is there. We don't come from a culture where saying no is so easy. Not just that, even accepting. मान्छेलाई नो सुन्न यस्तो गाह्रो हुन्छ कसैले केही भन्यो भने हैन. So I would, to answer your question, I would say be a little bit polite when you're saying no. Use the firm, don't be passive. किनभने तपाईलाई केही गर्न मन छैन भने say no. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to be nice to that other person. Tara, don't be even aggressive. So what I would say is be assertive. Some of my students might have heard this in my class as well. Don't be passive, don't be aggressive, be assertive. Say no, but in a polite form. No, I can't do this, and give your reasoning. Because when you just say, no, I won't do it, the arrogance would be seen from your side. So what I would suggest is do it in your assertive manner. And to answer your second question, I need you to repeat the question.
Personal and professional relation. Maybe if you're working with someone whom you're very close to.
Okay.
Like you said that you were working in your father's organization, if at all. So how to keep a personal and professional relation?
Okay, so to answer that question, okay, one thing you have to be very clear. It depends from person to person. So to answer that question with my personal experience is, how I am personally and professionally, I'm a 2 different person. And what I tell all my people, like at work, I might be one kind of a person. Like I'm very funny, I love talking, I have a different persona when I'm at home. When I'm with my friends, I have a different persona. But when it comes to work, I have a different persona. So to answer your question about maintaining that, I think when you, this is a very tough question from my side because I have different persona when it comes to work and with professional. How you do is you just be yourself. When it about just a personal life, how I'm with my dad, right? I cannot be with him same if I'm in an office. So I do have to have that different persona. So how do I maintain it is by I think for me, it's easy to maintain. It's the other person who has to deal with it. It'll be hard for them to maintain. Because my father would expect me to not say no in an office scenario because at home I'm not allowed to say it. I live underneath his roof. I don't pay rent, nothing, so I can't say no. I have to come home at 9. I can't say no to him. But when it comes to work, if he says, okay, beta, do this, this, and this, I have to say no to him. So I think for me, it's easier as a person to be like, to maintain that different persona, but it's the person who has to tackle with that situation. It'll be tough for them. So I would say communicating with them and letting them know that personal and professional life is too different. So if I have to be with you in a personal scenario as well as professional, please expect different kind of behavior from my side, and that I do via communication, even with my friends as well, because there are certain friends who I work professionally and in a personal life as well. Like I drink with them and tomorrow I'm actually working with them. So what I do is, hey, I'm here this way doesn't mean tomorrow you can just cross your boundary and speak to me and just high-five me in a certain way. As a friend, you can do that, not in a professional setting. So how do I manage that is via communication, by communicating with them. Thanks.
That was a very smart question. I think in those two questions, you've encapsulated our whole culture. One is saying no, the whole idea of rejection, people not being able to deal with that. And the other is boundaries, right? So I think for me, what has worked in terms of saying no is nobody wants to be treated unfairly. So the first thing that people think when they hear a no is that they're being treated unfairly. So if you can explain to them or educate them, it's not that you're being treated unfairly. These are the conditions, that helps. Not always, but most of the time. So it's a sense of fairness. Second, for the boundaries also, that is, again, another big thing for our culture. You have to establish those. Again, when you do that, if you're confrontational, it always ends up in a bad way. However, if you are able to show the idea of fairness, I think that works the most. Not only people you work with, but people you don't know, you start working with them and become friends, it's also a problem in that situation also, where you become more than colleagues, and if there's a conflict, it's hard to manage those. So yeah, so I guess use the idea of fairness, and communication, and hopefully you can navigate the no and the boundaries.
To answer your first question, first and foremost, we need to understand why you want to say no. If it's a positive reason, then I think learning to say no can be one of the top skills that you can actually learn in your age. For example, if you're saying learning no because you want to study and your friends are going out, then that's a good thing. But a lot of people can't do that. They get swayed, Yeah, you have the fear of missing out, FOMO, and you go along, you get dragged along. So actually I would say learning to say no is actually something you should learn, especially in your age, but for the positive reasons. And just to put it out there, I think one thing that I recently read about was whenever you reject an idea, reject something, it's always good to start with the rejection and then add a positive note to it. Be like, okay, sorry, I can't go out with you guys right now. Don't give your reasoning, because no one really listens to your own personal reason. Everyone wants to hear what they want, So you can say, no, I won't go out with you guys, but once I'm done, let's do this, maybe on the next Saturday or something positive. So that's just a little trick of what you can do. In terms of working with someone that, and having a professional as well as a private life, it's a very tricky thing, and I have also struggled immensely because I have worked in an environment where I'm just the employee, and I'm working in an environment where now I have to work with my family. And I would suggest, if it is a choice, start with somewhere you don't know anyone. I mean, later, colleagues, the tips he gave was also really good, but start with that. But if you are in a situation like many people are, where you have to somehow mix your personal and private life, it is very complicated. It will strain your relationships. If it's your father, your parents, your uncle, it'll get tricky. Because if you don't do well in work, it'll trickle down. It's very difficult to set the boundaries and differentiate it. You know, we are humans, we are not robots. But then again, communication is important rather than confrontation. You put your boundaries and say, you know, I'm this at work, please don't let it translate into our private life. But then it is something you have to work towards, and it's not like an easy fix. So that's my answer for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So with this, we come to the end of this session. And as I said, yes, as Icha also said, learning is never ending. So with interaction with all of you also, I'm on that verge, you know, I say that till the last day of my life, I'll be learning. So today also I've learned a lot from you all. Thank you so very much for all the insights which you have given, and to all the participants there. Thank you so very much.
Wanted to thank everyone for listening, and also I'm very excited about this next event, which is the expo. I think something like this is really needed, and more frequently. So good luck, and looking forward to participating in that. Hopefully we'll get to interact with some of you during that event also.
That was a very insightful panel discussion, wasn't it? Thank you to all the panelists. I hope all of you had a great time, and I think our panelists too had a great time. So now I'd like to once again invite Ms. Icha Malla, who returned after her education from Johns Hopkins University and has been empowering the youths of our country as a lead trainer for the government of Nepal, as a lecturer for KCM, and also a corporate trainer and consultant for various organizations. Once again, let's welcome Ms. Icha Malla.
Okay, guys, I feel overdose. You guys are going to get overdose of me, right? You probably want to see me, don't want to see me for a while. Anyway, so yeah, thank you so much for such a wonderful session. It was a coincidence that I got to be part of the panel, and I'm very happy because I got to really learn a lot from Somji, Karan, and Neeru ma'am. So it was wonderful being in panel with them. However, I would like to also thank all of you for being here and, you know, thinking that things like this would help you. I'm glad. And thank you to Somji from Bayanet for taking out your time and being here to encourage our youth and trying to tell them like what was going to be the future of work, and like in terms of work, what do you exactly need to see in terms of your resume, or it could be even when you're about to get hired. Thanks to Karan from Karan Vaidya from Vaidya Group for being here and giving your insights, because I'm pretty sure the young generation was pretty much able to relate to you and your example. And thank you, Neeru ma'am, for being such a wonderful moderator for both our session. And as I've already said about Lunchpad, it's an initiative that is done so that we can reduce the brain drain in the country by letting youngsters know that there is such a wonderful companies out here to work for, as well as for employers who have been complaining a lot that, oh my God, we don't have राम्रो मान्छे गर्न like छँदै छैन भनेर. Every time I hear them, and I'm like, no, because these youngsters didn't know that they have organization like yours. So I'm pretty sure now that complaint is going to reduce, and even if it reduces in a 1%, that will be a change that I think that I made. So yeah, looking forward to see you all in the Job Expo on 15th, and I hope to see all the employers as well, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Icha. Now I'd like to request our panelists to please step down and have a seat on the front row. Once again, I'd like to request Ms. Icha to please hand over the token of love to our panelists. Mr. Karan Vaidya, Vice President of Vaidya Group. Thank you for your precious time and sharing wonderful ideas. Mr. Soham Dakal, CEO of Vinyl. Thank you, sir, very much. And yes, I think that's it.
Oh yeah, you can just give it. Yeah, so you can give it to me. That's
Yeah. Miss Ichamala, founder of People First. Now, could I request the photographers to please take the group photo?
Good camera.
Thank you. On behalf of Team Launchpad, I'd like to thank you all for your patience and giving us your time for this event. This event would not have been a huge success without the students of KCM. We are really thankful to you and also to all our sponsors. Our event partner, KCM, in association with Job Seekers Nepal, airlines partner Turkish Airlines, supported by Rallycross, gift partner Mastakala, internet partner Vianet, and media partners New Business Age and Custom on the Television. Thank you once again. Our panel discussion 2 ends here. Last but not the least, I'd like to notify you all about the job fair on 15th of June, where over 25 companies are coming. Companies like Government of Nepal, Nabil Bank, Baja Technology, Leapfrog, and so many more. With this note, we are thankful to everyone present here. And I take this opportunity to see you all at the job fair. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a good day. Thank you.